Hi, this is Mackenzie Farr, and here's my Cap 1 covering ATP production in the body. So the human body utilizes different metabolic pathways to produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate, in the body. And for the glucose metabolism, there are two different pathways involved, which are glycolysis and oxidative phosphorylation. And then for fatty acid metabolism, beta oxidation coupled with the citric acid cycle or the Krebs cycle is utilized. Glycolysis is a metabolic pathway that initiates the breakdown of one glucose molecule in order to produce ATP and NADH and pyruvate. So as you can see in this diagram, there are two ATP that are utilized in order for this process to occur. And later on in the process, there are 4 ATP produced, which yields a net of 2 ATP produced within this cycle. Also throughout this cycle, there are 2 NADHs that are produced and 2 pyruvates. From the portion of this pathway that is glycolysis, an overall yield of 2 ADP, 2 NADH, and 2 pyruvates are produced. Those pyruvates are then transferred into the citric acid cycle. So through the cycle, the 2 pyruvates are broken down, and there are also 6 NADHs, 2 FADHs, FADH2s, and 4 carbon dioxide molecules that are produced. All the while, oxidative phosphorylation is occurring, and that is where the electron transport cycle comes in. The electron transport chain utilizes the electron carriers, which are the 6 NADHs and the 2 FADHs that were produced through the citric acid cycle and through glycolysis. And through the electron transport chain, approximately 32 ATP are produced. And along with the production of the ATP, there's also a formation of water. In summary, glycolysis produces ATP, 2 ATP, 4 NADH, and 2 pyruvates. And the citric acid cycle produces 6 NADH, 2 FADH, and 4 carbon dioxides. And oxidative phosphorylation produces substantial ATP production alongside with the formation of water, which is very important for energy production in the cellular level and the utilization of fuel. Next, we have the breakdown of a fatty acid and the ATP that is produced from that. Palmitate, or palmitic acid, is a monosaccharide saturated fatty acid, and it's composed of 16 carbon atoms, and the breakdown of this fatty acid involves the processes of beta oxidation and the citric acid cycle. In beta oxidation, palmitate undergoes the removal of 2 carbon units, generating acetyl-CoA, which we can see right here. This process occurs in the mitochondria, which leads to the production of reducing agents such as NADH and FADH. To completely break down palmitic acid, 7 cycles of beta oxidation are required, in which yields 8 acetyl-CoA, 7 NADH, and 7 FADH molecules each time. The overall breakdown of palmitate results in a substantial ATP yield, producing approximately 106 ATP molecules per palmitic acid molecule. This process highlights the significance of fatty acid metabolism in the energy production, particularly during conditions that demand sustained or prolonged energy. Metabolic pathways encompassing glycolysis, oxidative phosphorylation, the citric acid cycle, and beta oxidation typically display diverse adaptations based on the intensity of exercise and the duration of exercise. Brief and high intensity exercise will typically prioritize the use of glycolysis because it is an anaerobic process, which means it doesn't necessarily need the use of oxygen, and it produces ATP a lot quicker than the other processes. During prolonged low to moderate exercises, the citric acid cycle remains active, supplying the reducing agents necessary for oxidative phosphorylation. Beta oxidation becomes significant in extended low to moderate intensity aerobic exercises, but high intensity exercises may favor glycolysis over beta oxidation for the swift ATP production. Oxidative phosphorylation emerges as a primary ATP production pathway in aerobic exercises, as its contribution with the ATP production rising with increasing exercise duration and intensity, which ensures a sustained ATP supply throughout the exercise. Limiting factors include the amount of glucose and lactate for glycolysis and the amount of fatty acids and oxygen for beta oxidation and the oxygen availability for the electron transport chain, because with little amounts of these, the processes aren't able to occur, which then leads to less production of ATP. Adaptations through aerobic and high-intensity exercise may also cause these pathways to differ. Higher intensity, fast, quick exercise typically requires the use of glycolysis, which requires the use of glucose, which if the body is lacking glucose, the production of ATP for those fast, quick exercises will not be sufficient. In conclusion, these metabolic pathways play a crucial role in our ability to sustain movement and exercise in the real world. The dynamics that occur between glycolysis, oxidative phosphorylation, citric acid cycle, and beta oxidation allow the body to adapt to varying exercise intensities and durations. Short and intense activities rely heavily on glycolysis for rapid ATP production, while longer, moderate, low-intensity exercises shift towards the oxidative pathways in order for a steady energy supply. The flexibility in the metabolic pathways is essential for meeting the diverse energy demands of all daily activities and sports. The coordination of these pathways allows the body to optimize the energy production and utilization, which showcases how complex and how adaptable the metabolism of the human body is, and how it supports sustained movement and exercise, and how it supports sustained movement and sustained exercise throughout any sort of activity. There's my source, and thank you!